Although the boys' bodies have not been found, the prosecution has said that evidence, including interviews with the West's other children, indicates the boys were killed in September of 2020, 3 months before the West reported them missing. The West are charged with second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and other offenses and face life terms in prison if convicted.
Fourth day of the trial of Trezell and Jacqueline West, charged with murder and the deaths of adopted children, Classic and Sincere, also known as Orrin 4 and Orson 3. Notes from the courtroom. April 10th, 2023. Trezell West is present with his attorneys Timothy Hennessy and Victor Nasser. Jacqueline West is present with attorneys Alexia Torres Stallings and Fatima Rodriguez. The prosecutor is Eric Smith. Smith has called Robert Dees to the stand. He's a realtor. Dees generally sells homes in the Bakersfield area. In 2020, he had contact with Trezell and Jacqueline West. A lender he worked with was contacted by Trezell through Zillow, and Dees then reached out to him. His initial contact with Trezell was about looking for homes and setting up an appointment, Dees said. He has text messages of his contacts with Trezell up to the time he gave him keys to a home in September 2020. Dees is looking up his text from Trezell. The first one from Trezell came on May 6, 2020. Dees corresponded with the West through email, text, and phone calls. He would send Trezell photos of homes he thought met the couple's criteria in California City and Tehachapi. Dees testified he viewed homes in person with the West. He thinks it only happened twice. Smith has displayed a photo of the West home on Aspen Avenue in California City. Dees helped them buy it. He first showed the home to them in May or June, he said. When the West arrived to see the home, Trezell and Jacqueline were there, but he thinks the children stayed in the car, never met them. On September 11, 2020, they met at the home for the sale, Dees said. When he arrived, he told them where the key was, and the West went inside. Dees gave them some gifts for purchasing the home. Dees testified they mainly stayed in the kitchen area where he spoke with Trezell and Jacqueline. He didn't interact with the children. The children were playing in an enclosed patio area, Dees said. He doesn't remember the exact number of children he saw. When law enforcement asked, he estimated the number of children present, but told them he wasn't exactly sure. He didn't count them. One child was sitting down with an upset look on his face, and the other children seemed happy, Dees said. The one child had a mean look and appeared to be in a bad mood. Trezell and Jacqueline told him that boy was always in a bad mood, Dees said. Smith is showing Dees photos of Orrin and Orson West. Dees identified the photo of Orson as the upset child he saw that day. Dees said he was in the home for maybe 10 minutes. After that day, September 11, 2020, Dees said he thinks Trezell called him one time to talk about possibly selling his home. It's the only day he saw some of the West children. Dees said the West told him their main source of income were the adopted children. Smith ended his questioning and Torres Stallings has begun cross-examination. Dees said he met with law enforcement on this case but doesn't remember the dates. Torres Stallings is naming dates he spoke with officers. Dees testified he had seen media coverage before meeting with officers. He said he saw an article on Facebook and an interview on the West speaking to the media. Torres Stallings is asking questions about how COVID changed the way houses were shown. Only a certain number of people could be in a home at the same time due to new regulations. Each time he showed a home to the West, the children were in the vehicle while the parents saw the home. He said he didn't look in the van. Dees said law enforcement has not accessed his text messages as far as he knows. Dees said he believes he told police he saw 5 children on the day the West arrived at their new home on September 11, 2020. Torres Stallings has handed Dees a photo. He said he doesn't recognize it. It's apparently a photo of all of the West children. Cal City Police has shown Dees a photo of the children, and he believes he said he had seen a few of them. Torres Stallings is asking if he can identify the 3 children he identified for Cal City Police. She asked him to circle the children he recognizes. Torres Stallings took the photo back after Dees circled 3 of the children that are in it. Torres Stallings displayed the photo. Dees did not circle Orson, whom he testified was the upset child he saw when the West bought the home. Torres Stallings asked if he remembered the West told him the child was upset because he didn't have his ball. Dees says he doesn't remember that. The West told him they wanted to go to Cal City where they would have more land and could grow vegetables, Dees said. Torres Stallings has finished questioning Dees, and now Hennessy is cross-examining him. After a few quick questions summarizing Dees' involvement, Hennessy ended his questions and Dees has been excused. Joseph Karschamroon has been called to the stand. He owns Antelope Valley Pest Control. Trezell West contacted him on September 15, 2020 for pest control, Karschamroon said. Karschamroon went in person to the home on Aspen Avenue. He spoke with Trezell West. They went through the house. Karschamroon said Trezell told him there were some issues with ants and spiders, told him he had just purchased the home. They set up quarterly service for the house. Karschamroon said he saw children in the home, didn't count them, but he thinks there were 4 to 5. He asked Trezell to have the kids stay outside while he sprayed in the house. Karschamroon remembers seeing a baby carrier for a younger toddler and another child being held by hand. He said a couple children left the house on their own. He again said he didn't count them. He sprayed in the home for 15 to 20 minutes. The children were quiet inside the van, not rambunctious, he said. Karschamroon said he also sprayed outside the home, entered the rear yard through a side gate. He said he couldn't specifically say he could recognize certain children at that time, has since seen the billboards asking for help finding Orrin and Orson. Karschamroon said he remembers there were a lot of kids there. He distinctly remembers a car seat with a child in it. Smith ended his questioning. Victor Nasser has begun cross-examination. Karschamroon said he was at the house for general pest treatment, nothing out of the ordinary. He said he got a call one day and was asked to testify at the grand jury in which the West were indicted. He brought information saved on his computer about the appointment with the West. Nasser is asking about seeing the children at the home. Karschamroon said it looked like the West had just moved in. He can't have people in the same room while he's spraying. Once the product is dry, it's safe, Karschamroon said. It only takes a few minutes, but he wants kids outside so they don't touch the sprayer or come in contact with the product. Karschamroon said he expected a lot of noise from the van because of how many kids were in while he sprayed, but they were quiet. He heard about the missing children when he was about a week away from returning to the house for quarterly pest service, Karschamroon said. He said he spoke on the phone with law enforcement and they wanted info for the grand jury. It wasn't until about a year later that he was contacted by law enforcement, Karschamroon said. Nasser ended his questioning. Karschamroon, on redirect, said he wouldn't necessarily document the number of children at the house for his records. He keeps track of the chemicals he applies at each home. Karschamroon has been excused. Mary LaPuz has been called to the stand. She manages a mortgage and real estate company. Her company handled the West loan for the purchase of the Cal City home. She collected documents for the loan approval. She worked with Trezell collecting bank statements and birth certificates for the children. The income for the loan came from the money the couple received for the adoptions, LaPuz said. A sidebar was called, waiting for the judge and attorneys to return. They're back. LaPuz said she verified how much income the West had each month. The money came from the adoptions, and Trezell West told her he sells beats for musicians. Adoption income was the primary source of income, LaPuz said. The closing process had some challenges. It took over 60 days. LaPuz said she never met the children. Smith finished his questions. Fatima Rodriguez has begun cross-examination. After a couple quick questions regarding the West income, LaPuz has been excused. Another witness has been called. It was difficult to hear his name. First name was Robert, last name was unclear, but I'm going to refer to him as Robert. Robert lives at a home in California City that has 7 surveillance cameras on it. On December 21st, 2020, the day the boys were reported missing, Robert said he saw a patrol car pulling into the block. More vehicles passed by. Robert said he drove through a desert area looking for the children. He had been working on his truck before police came through the area, Robert said. He had been working on the truck starting in the morning. Robert said he saw a white van during the evening. It looked like a work van. Another car passed the van and went into the desert, he said. He didn't see 2 children walking together that evening, Robert said. He said he has a good view from his home of many streets in the surrounding area. Prosecutor Eric Smith is going to show portions of surveillance footage taken from Robert's home. A clip taken at 5:07 p.m. is being played. Smith is now playing footage from 5:10 p.m. Another clip is being shown from 5:25 p.m. No children are seen in the clips. Smith is continuing to play footage. Surveillance footage is continuing to be shown to the jury. Robert at times is visible walking in his yard. More footage shown. Robert continues to work in his yard. Every now and then a vehicle passes. The footage was taken from the night the boys were reported missing. Robert has said he spent a good part of the day in the yard, never saw 2 children walking together. Smith directed Robert's attention to a vehicle that drives by, and Robert said it's a van he earlier testified seeing. The van had earlier been parked in the area before it drove by his house at 5:58 p.m. It hadn't been parked that long, Robert said. Prosecutor Eric Smith finished his questioning. Defense lawyer Timothy Hennessy will begin cross-examination. Robert told Hennessy he has 7 cameras on his house. He turned the footage over to the police. Robert said it's his understanding the time is accurate on all videos. Hennessy is now playing some of the videos and identifying things seen in them. Hennessy notes one video records at 5:11 p.m. and the next video starts at 5:25 p.m. Robert says he didn't cut anything out, handed all his footage to authorities. Hennessy finished questioning Robert. Torres Stallings has asked Robert to mark each image showing where each of his 7 cameras are located. Torres Stallings asked if he gave Channel 2 to law enforcement. I gave them everything, Robert said. He can't find footage from that camera in the photos Torres Stallings gave him. Torres Stallings is showing the jury still images taken from each surveillance camera with the exception of camera 2. Camera 2 apparently faces his front door. I'm sure there was, Robert said when asked if there was another video taken between 5:11 and 5:25 p.m. on the night the boys were reported missing. He again said he gave authorities everything. Robert said he saw a woman in a car driving around and it appears she was looking for something. He's marking an exhibit to point out where the woman was driving. Torres Stallings asked Robert if he knows where each vehicle went that passed by his home. Robert said he didn't pay attention to all of them. In response to Torres Stallings, he acknowledged working on his truck and being busy in his yard. Robert said no one viewed or seized his surveillance footage the night the boys were reported missing. Torres Stallings ended her questioning. On redirect examination by Smith, Robert said all the cameras on his home are motion activated. Prior to the search for the children, Robert said he didn't see anyone walking through the area or cars stopping in the area with the exception of one car, the path of which he traced. No toddlers walked through the area, he said. On recross-examination, Hennessy is asking about the 14 minutes from the camera 4 that aren't seen from 5:11 p.m. to 5:25 p.m. Robert said his cameras only film when there is motion. During Zoom testimony for the grand jury, Robert talked about a car he saw pull into Rome Beauty Drive before he saw Trezell's white van. The car drove into the desert before the van came by. The defense ended their questioning. Smith is again asking questions, saying he wants to focus on when Robert saw the van as opposed to the car. Robert said he saw the Saturn driving around at or about 5:48 p.m. or later. Smith finished and Hennessy resumed questioning, and Robert specified there were 2 instances he saw the van. The attorneys have finished questioning Robert, and the judge has asked to see the attorneys then back. Everyone has returned and Robert has been excused. Zachary Edwards has been called to the stand. He's a California Highway Patrol officer. Edwards is describing using night vision in a helicopter and how it's used during searches. A person would show up as a glowing figure in infrared vision, Edwards said. On December 21st, 2020, CHP received a request to help find missing juveniles in Cal City. Edwards said they arrived overhead around 8:30 p.m., contacted law enforcement on the ground, and obtained info. After learning the last place someone was seen, they'll get a lay of the land and try to estimate how far someone could travel and establish a search area, Edwards said. That night, they flew a circular pattern from the area the juveniles went missing and slowly widened the area as they continued flying in circles looking for them. The search that night lasted a total of 3 hours by air, Edwards said. The flight pattern Edwards flew that night has been displayed. They searched 90 minutes, refueled at Cal City Airport, then searched another 90 minutes. Nothing of relevance was seen by him or the pilot during the search, Edwards said. Hennessy has begun cross-examination. He's asking questions about the flight map. It could have been a decision by the crew to search the desert area, or info may have come from officers on the ground, Edwards said. Hennessy finished, and Torres Stallings will now question Edwards. Torres Stallings asked if infrared can see if someone is inside a home. Edwards said yes if they're looking at an open door or window, but otherwise they can't tell if someone is in a structure. Edwards said he didn't see any children outside that evening, either in the desert area or residential areas. There is no information as to which homes the helicopter specifically searched, Edwards said. He has been excused. Cal City officer Michael Kelakios has taken the stand. He went to the West residence the day after the initial call to look for evidence, canvassed the area for footprints, video, eyewitnesses. He didn't write a report, but had a body-worn camera. A transcript has been handed to the jury and a video is about to be played. There's a lot of noise caused by the wind and a barking dog, but in the video, Trezell West is walking through a yard and telling Kelakios about the disappearance. Much of what Trezell is telling the officer can't be heard. The video has ended. Prosecutor Eric Smith is asking Kelakios about the lot he and Trezell West walked through. Kelakios said it's to the east of the West home. Kelakios is marking an image on the lot to show where he and Trezell walked. The image has been displayed, showing the east lot the two walked through as Kelakios asked questions of Trezell West. Kelakios said he found nothing in the lot. On cross-examination, Torres Stallings asked Kelakios if he knew about the importance of taking notes and writing reports. Kelakios said he wrote no report in this case. He said he didn't review anything before testifying today. Everything he's testifying to is from his memory, Kelakios said. Kelakios testified the date and time on the body-worn camera footage is inaccurate. He said he went to the West home on the morning of December 23, 2020, but the footage says he was there on the evening of December 22, 2020. There were other people in the area who were not law enforcement when he went to the West residence, Kelakios said. He said he spoke to several people. Torres Stallings asked Kelakios if he recalls making a Facebook post about this case for which he got in trouble. He said he doesn't remember that. I don't recall that, Kelakios said after looking at a transcript of the post. Torres Stallings said she's going to play it for the jury. The video was only shown to Kelakios, not the jury. He said he doesn't remember posting it or getting in trouble for it. Kelakios said he didn't contact the biological family of Orrin and Orson, make a report, determine their whereabouts. I did not do a follow-up investigation, he said. Asked questions about a neighbor he spoke with, Kelakios said he passed that information along to someone else. He reiterated he wrote no reports on this case. Torres Stallings is displaying images taken from Kelakios' body-worn camera footage. She pointed out brush in the empty lot near the West home, noted the map Kelakios drew didn't include the entire area he walked through. Torres Stallings ended her questioning, and Hennessy is about to begin. He again asked if Kelakios had been disciplined by the police department for posting his opinion about the case on Facebook. Kelakios said he doesn't believe it even happened. Judge Charles R. Brimmer has called a sidebar. Kelakios testified he dropped in on the West just for my own peace of mind, not as an official part of the investigation. He has been excused. Jesse Hightower, Cal City Police Chief, has been called to the stand. He was a patrol lieutenant when the boys were reported missing. There were issues with the body cameras at that time. They had no IT support, couldn't change dates or times, and had a lot of problems with them, Hightower said. Things were very wrong with that system, Hightower said. Those issues last a year or so, and then the city purchased new body-worn cameras, Hightower said. On December 21st, 2020, Hightower was in his office when he heard the boys were missing. He went to the West home at 5:50 p.m. Hightower said he contacted Jacqueline West at the home. He spoke with her at the front door, then they went through the home together. There was no sign of the children in the house, he said. Hightower testified he also looked through the backyard, then went back to the front and began establishing an incident command post. 4 or 5 other officers arrived from Cal City PD. Hightower said he's been involved with 75 to 100 missing persons cases. This was the first time he was lieutenant in charge. He told volunteers to go door to door and walk the entire street looking for surveillance cameras and to get everyone's name and information. Hightower said he also called County Search and Rescue to help with the search. He wanted as much help as he could get. Those personnel searched the desert east of the neighborhood, a very large area, Hightower said. The neighborhood had been covered by that time. At 6:11 p.m., Hightower called for a Kern County helicopter, but was told there would be a delay because of fog. So at 6:13, called CHP, and they had a helicopter respond. Officer Brian Hansen was assigned to speak with the West, Hightower said. From Hightower is about to be shown and transcripts provided to the jury.